Jack London, The Unexpected, Part 9. After the third day, Deneen had begun to talk. His first question had been, "What are you going to do with me?" And this question he repeated daily and many times a day. And always Edith replied that he would assuredly be dealt with according to law. In turn, she put a daily question to him, "Why did you do it?" To this he never replied. Also, he received the question with outbursts of anger, raging and straining at the rawhide that bound him and threatening her with what he would do when he got loose, which he said he was sure to do sooner or later. At such times she cocked both triggers of the gun, prepared to meet him with leaden death if he should burst loose, herself trembling and palpitating and dizzy from the tension and shock. But in time Deneen grew more tractable. It seemed to her that he was growing weary of his unchanging recumbent position. He began to beg and plead to be released. He made wild promises. He would do them no harm. He would himself go down the coast and give himself up to the officers of the law. He would give them his share of the gold. He would go away into the heart of the wilderness and never again appear in civilization. He would take his own life if she would only free him. His pleadings usually culminated in involuntary railing, until it seemed to her that he was passing into a fit. But always she shook her head and denied him the freedom for which he worked himself into a passion. But the weeks went by, and he continued to grow more tractable, and through it all the weariness and asserting itself more and more. "I'm so tired," he would murmur, rolling his head back and forth on the pillow like a peevish child. At a little later period he began to make impassioned appeals for death, to beg her to kill him, to beg hands to put him out of his misery, so that he might at least rest comfortably. The situation was fast becoming impossible. Edith's nervousness was increasing, and she knew her breakdown might come any time. She could not even get her proper rest, for she was haunted by the fear that Hans would yield to his mania and kill Deneen while she slept. Though January had already come, months would have to elapse before any trading schooner was even likely to put into the bay. Also, they had not expected to winter in the cabin, and the food was running low. No cold hands add to the supply by hunting. They were chained to the cabin by the necessity of guarding their prisoner. Something must be done, and she knew it. She forced herself to go back into a reconsideration of the problem. She could not shake off the legacy of her race, the law that was of her blood and that had been trained into her. She knew that whatever she did, she must do according to the law, and in the long hours of watching, the shotgun on her knees, the murderer restless beside her, and the storms thundering without, she made original sociological researches and worked out for herself the evolution of the law. It came to her that the law was nothing more than the judgment and the will of any group of people. It mattered now how large was the group of people. There were little groups, she reasoned, like Switzerland, and there were big groups like the United States. Also, she reasoned, it didn't matter how small was the group of people. There might be only 10,000 people in a country, yet their collective judgment and will would be the law of that country. Why then could not 1,000 people constitute such a group? She asked herself. And if 1,000, why not 100? Why not 50? Why not 5? Why not 2? She was frightened at her own conclusion, and she talked it over with Hans. At first he could not comprehend, and then, when he did, he added convincing evidence. He spoke of miners' meetings where all the men of a locality came together and made the law and executed the law. There might be only 10 or 15 men all together, he said, but the will of the majority became the law for the whole 10 or 15, and whoever violated that will was punished.